Zach, it's here.
What's here, Ed?
Season 2, baby!
Woo!
We are here. We've gone through our first season. Those y'all at home, in the car, on the shitter, what do you mean season? We do our seasons right after the Super Bowl and start the next one right after the Super Bowl. And you know what just passed? The fucking Super Bowl, man. So welcome, everybody, to season 2 of 2-1 Sports.
All your football teams are 0-0 now.
They are, especially my Texans. So there's a chance.
No. You don't even have a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. But we're not getting into that right now.
Nope.
So, I'm a fan of the Tick of Talk. I've shown my ugly mug on there a couple of times. I was scrolling through it last night, and this trick was on there, and she was showing how much money she has made off of selling her own items. And what I mean by that, and some of you sickos out there who probably already know what I'm talking about, she talked about selling used underwear, foot peelings, bath water, and spit, and she listed off other things. And it dawned on me, these women are setting themselves up for failure when they sell things like that, because they're probably selling them to somebody who's a serial killer and is taking these jars of spit and just sprinkling it all over crime scenes. Like, if I was a serial killer, that's what I would do.
I mean, yeah, right? Like, that's the idea. Somebody is basically volunteering their DNA because they're fucking stupid. But, okay, let's just put it back into the realm of, I was going to say normal people, but if you're buying someone's spit, you're not fucking normal. But what do you, like, let's say you bought a vial of spit.
Okay.
What's the point?
It's a trophy, right? It's like, why do people buy artwork, right? Just to show it off. They show it off to their sick friends. They're like, look here on my mantle.
So
this is
like it's memorabilia,
right?
I've got
perfect
Aaron Rodgers'
example
helmet, and I got Dan Marino's football, and I have Jenna Jameson's cunt. Like, is that how that works?
It has to be, right?
I mean, I guess that's.
I'm baffled that women and men, for the most, I mean, you don't hear it as often, but people are so willing to sell disgusting stuff like that just to make a buck, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, this shows me that people have way too much fucking money if they're buying bathwater from some chick online that they're never going to meet, they're never going to stick, they're never even going to get a taste of except through that fucking bathwater or their fucking crusty drawers, right?
I mean, basically, yeah, but I don't get the idea of people buying panties. Like, okay, so you have a panty fetish. I can understand that. That makes sense. It's right next to where you want to put your dick. I got it. But how do you know that chick was actually wearing those panties?
Right. How do you know her husband wasn't wearing them?
Well, so I know for a fact that there are men in like Korea that are just wearing panties around and selling them on the internet, claiming that they're, some porn star or the dude's sister or something like that. And they're making a shit ton of money because people in the United States are stupid. And they're just sending out their money.
Dishing it out.
I mean, it's like they have unlimited amounts of disposable income. They buy panties with them.
So what is the return policy on something like that? Like, if you get a pair of panties and like they're crusted with fucking ant flow on it.
Well, so I think that's the point. I think they're supposed to be musty.
Yeah, but if they're bloody.
Some people are into that.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hi, yes. Love your Twitch. Love your OnlyFans page. I recently bought a pair of panties from you, and there was some red spottage in there. Can I go ahead and get a refund? I'll gladly send them back to you. Like, do they get star ratings on their pages for this? Like, these panties were 5 stars. Like, they are so comfortable and smell so much worse than a can of tuna.
I don't know. That's so. My thing is, I would never buy them, so I don't know what you're actually expecting, right?
You've seen online how like they have mystery boxes, like people buy mystery boxes and open them. these chicks, this is what they need to do. Just grab random shit in your house and open it as a mystery box. You're going to make way more money than you ever would before. And it doesn't even have to be like panties or dildos or anything like that. Put a fucking crusty sock in there from the snatch or the dick that you got 2 weeks ago. Put a used condom in there or something. Like,
could you imagine paying, like, let's say you're in a bidding war with, you're in a bidding war with, Muff Slayer 97, and you end up winning. You bid like $1,100 for this mystery box from insert porn star name here. I don't know. You get it, and it's a used fucking sheepskin. I can only imagine how, like, which I would be disappointed because I would think that I'd be getting something from her.
Well, it was in her, possibly.
I mean, I guess, but it was also on this other dude's dick. Do you really want that?
But what if she wrote a backstory to go with it, like a little card, and it was like, this 9-inch cock was rammed into me multiple times using this condom in both holes. So I it's like squirted all over the place.
But now it's movie memorabilia.
It's true. Well, not if there was no movie on it.
Well, true. But how do you display that in your house?
Can you get it certified?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, does it get
a little PSA on it?
Yeah. Is that what that's called? It's whatever the
certificate of authentication.
Yeah, what's a COA? Can I get a COA on this? I need to get it notarized. Could you imagine? Well, so speaking of weird people. Well, people are just weird in general. But I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Back before the Rona, when you used to go to like sit down restaurants, did you ever go to a table and like the table's completely clean? Like the busboy cleaned it, whatever. But the people that were there before, like they had like a stack of napkins and like they didn't use them all, so they just left them on the table. Has that ever happened to you?
I'm sure it has.
Okay, would you use those napkins?
No, because normally I use the napkin that's rolled up with the silverware.
Right. But I'm saying, like, if you happen to need an extra napkin, are you going to grab the ones on the table?
Probably, but now that you're bringing this up from here on out, probably not.
Well, so, okay, I know that some of the people that want to save the environment are going to be really mad that I'm throwing away.
They don't listen to the show.
Well, that's probably true. But when I come to that table and I see, like, leftover napkins, it kind of grosses me out. So I don't touch them, right? I go get my own napkins. I don't need that. And I understand, like, the person who did it probably had like the best intentions. They're like, oh, I didn't use them all. Somebody will use them. And that's fine, courtesy, whatever. But courtesy can go too far. So a couple days ago, I went into a unisex bathroom. Unisex meaning that it was just like one door, one toilet, one sink. It was like its own little bathroom, right?
Okay.
So I go in, turn around, lock the door, come to the toilet, and I'm just gonna pee. I'm not to that point yet. And I look down while I'm pissing, and there's the toilet paper dispenser, right? It has, 2 toilet paper things. You can slide the little door back and forth to, get like the fresh roll or whatever. Well, on top of that, someone had neatly folded like 8 or 9 sheets of toilet paper.
That's so thoughtful.
Right. Like that was the thought. The thought was, hey, I'm sitting here taking a shit and, oh, you know what? I folded too many sheets of toilet paper. I'm not going to use them, but somebody might. There is no fucking way anyone's using that toilet paper, right? You're probably not even touching it.
I guarantee you somebody that day did use it. They either blew their nose with it or they wiped their ass with it.
Can you imagine, like, you have fecal matter in your mustache and it's not yours? Oh.
So you bring that up about restaurants and stuff like that, and similar story prior to Rona, me and the wife went to a Chili's, which whatever, I can't stand Chili's. I know you beg to differ, but
no, so I don't like. If I could pick a restaurant, that would not be the one I'm picking.
So we go. The hostess sits us down to a table closest to the entrance, and we're about to sit down, and something catches my eye underneath the table. I look down there. It is a used diaper that's been wrapped up and left underneath this table. I tell the waitress, hostess, I'm not sitting there. She goes, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Y'all got used diapers underneath your table." You would think the place was burning. They went in full chaotic mode. Like, what? And so, like, they move us to another table, and like, I'm surprised they didn't call the sheriff's department and hazmat group or CDC or somebody, because the way that they acted was just astounding. But as a side note, just it's amazing that people do discussing things like that. And you're like, oh, well, you went to Chili's. What's to expect? I'd expect that at a Waffle House. All right. I would expect.
It's you would think whoever is cleaning the table swept under the table. And I don't think it's that people say, well, you went to Chili's. It's still a restaurant, right? There's still a health code. There's still like a level of cleanliness that's required at a place that serves food. Now, granted, yeah, you're right. If you go to the Waffle House, like if you don't see a needle on the floor, the food's probably not going to be any good. So, I mean, there are certain things that are okay, but at a Chili's, you just, that's not what you want to see. Now, if it was Applebee's, all right, I'm with you. The food's probably, well, you know what? It's Applebee's. The food sucks. But
I couldn't tell you where an Applebee's is.
Well, you know what? That's probably because you don't eat at Applebee's. The only Applebee's that I really know about.
I hear they have great drink specials.
Nights. Oh, well, maybe. I don't know about that. I don't go to that place. I think I've been there twice.
I think I went to one in New York one time, and that was it.
You went to New York, and you went to
just to go to Applebee's. Yes, I flew all the way to New York and said, "I heard y'all have the best Applebee's here because it's the Big Apple, right?
Right. That's
Applebee's, Big Apple."
I don't think that's the right conclusion, sir.
No, we were just in the area and we wanted a beer, and they had specials on beer that day.
Oh, well, okay, I can go.
Speaking of specials, we got to get this season started. We got to get this thing going. We got to get the people what they want. I don't know what that is, though. Do you?
I don't know. I think it's provocative. It gets the people going.
You ready to kick this motherfucker off?
Let's do it.
Let's fucking go.
Woo!
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Wannabe. Well, botched that right out the gate. Welcome to another episode of Two Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. I'm Ed.
I'm Zach.
And here we are again, assholes. This episode and all the mess ups that we have are brought to you by rrsportsbetting.com. Text the number 1-877-BET-AND-WIN and use the code WANNABE for a free $100 in gameplay. Get it now. Get that money. Get it. While we're on it, you like that, right?
Yeah.
Had to bust out the chain.
Peace and chains, man.
They've got college basketball going on. They've got NBA going on. They've got NHL going on. They've got e-gaming going on. You want to bet on South African soccer? They've got it. The best part about them is no deposit needed. You just sign up, you text them, boom, $100 free gameplay. Use the code WANNABE. All right? So, with that, a lot of bets were made this past week, this past Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. The Bengals facing off against the Rams, and what I thought was probably one of the best Super Bowls that we've seen in a while, and a lot of people wanted to say it was a bore. I think not. You're boring. We saw Joey B. Burrow go in there and play his ass off against Matt Stafford and the Rams that played their asses off. To me, there was no dull moment, right?
No, it was a really good game, start to finish, man.
And it was a fight constantly. It wasn't a blowout. Bengals took the lead at one point to only give it up for the loss. Thanks, Eli. I know everybody's dogging Eli Apple lately on the internets, but he deserves it. So What's your biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl?
I mean, I'm shocked at how close this game was played. Joe Burrow, basically rookie quarterback, had ice water in his veins, man. He got sacked like 7 or 8 times in the game. Von Miller had 2 sacks. Aaron Donald had 2 sacks. They were just basically living in the backfield, and he just stood in there and was still delivering the ball down the field. The last play of the game where Aaron Donald made the sack and they stopped the Bengals or whatever, maybe it was the 3rd down play. I don't know if you could see it, but from the back camera, you could see if Aaron Donald gets there a second later, Jamar Chase is running wide open down the sideline because Jalen Ramsey fell down. That would have won the game. So I'm a little bit perturbed because I bet that Joey Burrow would not throw a touchdown pass. And as far as I'm concerned, he fucking didn't. That was offensive pass interference. He grabbed Jalen Ramsey's face mask. And, I mean, whatever. They didn't call it. But I'm still mad.
I think the world will agree with you on that one. Hell of a game. Were you impressed with the halftime show?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm ranking halftime shows, I'm still partial to the Shakira J-Lo gyration pole dancing halftime show.
Yeah, you can't beat that. I mean,
that
up
one
there
was
with
choice.
Janet Jackson's tit.
So I'm not a big fan of that one because I don't like saggy eggs. But anyway, so the stage that they had, that was really cool, man. I really enjoyed it. To be fair, I was rocking out to every song.
Every 90s baby out there was jamming to that shit.
Dude, I just wish that Eminem would have done Patiently Waiting instead of Lose Yourself. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, but Lose Yourself has become one of the most top hype songs out there. So it was only right to do it. And on top of that, he was lip syncing the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, they're all they do that. They sing over a track. So I mean, it's
right.
Not really that big a deal. I did think that 50 Cent was gonna have an aneurysm hanging upside down for that long. That was weird. But you know, whatever. He's a weird dude, so he does crazy stuff. But I thought it was great. I loved it.
As you've said, the NFL season has now come to an end. All teams are 0-0. Now we're in speculation season. Yes. We're in rumor season. We're in theory season. Tons of stuff. First one that came out right after the Super Bowl is Aaron Donald retiring.
Oh, yeah.
Why people were speculating that, I don't know. But yesterday in their parade, when McVay, that's the coach's name, right?
McVay, yes.
He was on the mic, and he looked drunk already. And he said, let's run it back. And then Aaron Donald came back on there on the mic and said, we can run this back. So that right there gives me hope and belief that Aaron Donald is not retiring this season.
I agree. I'm not sure where the speculation came from either, other than like when they asked him directly, he wouldn't commit. But to be fair, Sean McVay wouldn't commit to coaching the team in 2022 either. So I don't know what that means, but now he's telling everybody to run it back. So I don't know. I figured your takeaway would be the GM of the Rams after the Super Bowl. I figured that would be what tickled you the most. Did you see the shirt he was wearing?
No.
It said, fuck them picks. Like, I don't give a shit. I traded away the future forever. Guess what we got? We got a chip, bitch.
And, you know, I said it on the last podcast, whenever they were going into the Super Bowl, time hop or whatever came up, and I was wondering if the Rams gave up too much for Stafford. And it shows, like, if you want a one-and-done kind of deal, it paid off, right?
100%.
But if I'm correct, the Rams are going to be running into free agency problems as well as cap space problems in this offseason. So the likelihood of this same team, which has never been done in the history of the NFL, to where a team wins the Super Bowl, that same exact team, man for man, comes back and plays again.
Well, Tampa Bay did that. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, and then they returned all 22 starters the next season.
The 22 starters, yeah, but I was speaking on the entire roster.
Okay.
pretty much close to impossible. But okay, so the 22 that started for the Rams, I don't see all 22 coming back.
No.
If
No,
Aaron
and most notably Odell Beckham. I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
Odell Beckham's stock, like I said last time, has skyrocketed apparently because of his performance in Los Angeles. I think his Super Bowl touchdown helped out with that. If he didn't get hurt throughout that game and kept dazzling the field like he was, it probably would go up even more. We probably wouldn't even be talking about Cooper Kupp being the Super Bowl MVP. It probably would have ended up being Matt Stafford as a Super Bowl MVP.
I agree.
But now, as I'm saying this, that the stock is going up for Odell Beckham, ACL tear, correct? Isn't that what he
in
got?
the same knee that he tore last time.
So now, does that bring his stock down? Does it kind of flatline it because of the fact that ACL tears are so common nowadays, and we've seen such great players come back and bounce back, like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had a torn ACL in year one, came back, went to the Super Bowl year two, and almost won the thing, right? Deshaun Watson's had multiple ACL tears, and he still came back and led the league in passing yards. Like, I could sit here all day and give you a list of people. So
yeah, it used to be a death sentence, especially if you had a torn ACL in high school or college.
Right.
Done. You'd never play again. Now you're seeing guys tear an ACL. 6 months later, they're back in the game. I mean, we saw guys that tore Achilles tendons that came back in 6 months and were playing. So the world of medicine obviously has jumped, but the thing with him is he's 30 now, right?
Yep.
But same thing with Robert Woods. Robert Woods they're the same age. We saw that on the last podcast where we looked it up. They're the same age, but they both have the same injuries. The only difference is tearing an ACL on the same knee twice is like a massive deal. I don't know. The thing is that you have both guys on the team. They're both free agents, right? So who are you going to go after? And I think what we talked about was Odell Beckham has the higher ceiling, but maybe a lower floor. Robert Woods has a higher floor, but a lower ceiling. So I don't know, but he looked special with Matthew Stafford throwing him the football. Yep. I think what we're missing, I know we're talking about the Super Bowl, but I want to throw in the Browns, the team that he came from. This makes Baker Mayfield look like shit.
Absolutely.
Because Odell Beckham all of a sudden was a great player again, right? I mean, he looked great in Cleveland, but he's wide open without the football.
Yep.
And so now he's wide open. Well, hell, sometimes he's not even open, and Matthew Stafford gets him the ball. So,
and I don't know if that's just bad blood between Baker and Odell. I personally haven't seen any reports out there about it. Could have been the coaching decisions, play design, stuff like that. Could it just have been Baker was trying to make pinhole or keyhole throws, try to be a superstar and get his name out there more? I'd have to go back and watch a lot of tape that I'm not willing to waste the time on. But I agree with you on that. This brings a lot of heat on Baker. I think this hurts him as far as free agency whenever it comes to other wide receivers possibly looking at the Browns. That coaching staff and Baker got to do some soul searching real quick and get him lined up, or Baker's about to be out of a job.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. Just because, we saw Odell Beckham transformed, and it's not like he was, the end of the season last year, and they cut him from Cleveland, and then he signed with the Rams and had an entire season with Matthew Stafford. He'd only been over there like 7 weeks,
right? And
the chemistry there was insane. Like that just proves, I think, that they just weren't utilizing him in Cleveland, or Baker. Baker's just not who we thought he was.
So I think a lot of that has to do with the coaching. And prime example, look at Antonio Brown whenever he went from the Raiders for the one day to New England. Well, granted, no, in New England, he didn't even make a regular season start, I think. But going to Tampa Bay under Bruce Arians and knew his role, knew what to do, and put up good numbers. All right. Same thing here with Odell. Odell went from a shitty situation in Cleveland, got picked up by the Rams. McVay communicated with him, sat him down and said, hey, this is what I need you to do. And Odell understood this isn't the Odell show. This is the Rams show. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very excited to see this offseason. I'm really eager to see. Side note, we're talking about the Rams with free agency. Just some noted people coming up for free agency that played on the Rams this past season. Von Miller, sitting there at 32.8 years of age. Sony Michel, he was a big help with the team. He wasn't putting up monster numbers, but he was able to get them in tight situations. Odell Beckham, like we've mentioned. And then they've got a bunch of other people. Matt Gay, their kicker's up as free agency. I'm sure they're going to re-sign him up pretty quick. Other than that, nobody really noted that needs to be talked about.
I mean, that's going to be the big deal, though. If you sign Odell Beckham, what happens to Robert Woods? So that's
Robert Woods. Based off they've got to see his performance in the offseason after the injury to see how he goes. I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough to speculate, especially
now
without knowing what's going on.
Down everything between him and Odell. I think a lot of people would rather want Odell. We got some new news coming out yesterday, I believe it was. I don't know who reported it, so I can't give anybody credit. Deshaun Watson's back in the news. Nothing with his legal problems right now, but he's reported that he is willing to get rid of the no trade clause if he can go to Minnesota or Tampa Bay. Right out the gate, which one do you think he would look better at, and who do you think would be more willing to give up what the Houston Texans are wanting to get him?
Well, so as far as Tampa Bay is concerned, I don't know about the Tom Brady thing. Yeah, he announced he retired, but then you talk to Gronk, and Gronk's like, nah, he's going to come back and play. Where he comes back to play, we don't know. And then on the other side of that, is Tampa Bay willing to wait an entire year in case he gets suspended or has to go to jail or whatever? I don't know. I obviously the team is good enough to win the Super Bowl. We saw that. But is Deshaun Watson Tom Brady? No. So there's that. In Minnesota, with the likes of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, I mean, that is a fantasy football player's dream. I would love to see that happen, but I hate speculating about Deshaun Watson because we don't know if he's going to even play.
Right.
We don't know if he's not going to go to jail. We don't know.
So with that, I think this is just my mind thinking. This is no evidence behind it, just my opinion. If you don't like it, suck my nuts. So Minnesota trades for Deshaun Watson. They're already $15 million over the cap. They go ahead and cut some players or trade away some big pricey players, probably on the defensive side, right? Deshaun Watson settles all his cases. Goodell comes down and says you're suspended for a year. They still have Kirk Cousins with the team to last out for the year to get them wherever they need to be, all right?
True.
If Deshaun Watson battles Goodell's punishment, they go ahead and cut it in half. Midway before the season, before the trade deadline, Deshaun Watson's able to come back, and Kirk Cousins gets traded for draft picks or defensive players, depending on what they do in the draft, right, to make up the compensation of what they lost to Houston.
I don't think they would get all of it back, but yeah, you could get some of it. Yeah,
they get something back, right? Let me see real quick. I personally think that Minnesota would probably be the best start. New head coach out there. Same group of offensive players that you mentioned that are a dynamite team. But you look at it, free agency wise, they're losing Anthony Barr. He's up for free agency. Patrick Peterson's up for free agency. Xavier Woods up for free agency. So there are three top defensive players right there. Nick Virgil is up on unrestricted. So maybe they have some wiggle room here with these free agents that they have if they really want to get Deshaun Watson, right? They can go ahead and let them go to make up the difference in the cap, whatever. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, you look at what they have as far as what's available or what's on the block right now for free agency. Chris Godwin's the most important one right there, right? You have a lot of one-year contracts that they got to try to repeat the Super Bowl this past season that have come to an end. 1 year, 2 year deals. Pierre Paul's up, Ndamukong Suh, Gronkowski's up, Fournette, Ronald Jones second's up. Like they have some major holes that they either need to keep or fill in some form or fashion. Right now, also at the same time, quarterback position. Right, what are they going to do there? Is Deshaun Watson worth getting over in Tampa Bay, or is Jimmy G a good Band-Aid until we can get a good draft pick, right? I don't know. If you're going to tell me I have to pick one of those two teams for Deshaun to go to, I see Minnesota being the best fit and probably the team that has the most to give up for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they signed Godwin to a contract, but I don't remember that. But yeah, Tampa Bay, dude, I don't know. I think my heart just really wants him to go to Minnesota because that's going to be a dynamite team. Like you said, first year head coach, he's going to immediately have a franchise quarterback. I mean, that alleviates so much pressure. Like once you have that position solidified, it takes away so much off of the coach's plate to just fill the rest of the roster. But on the flip side, that means you got to be paying him like a franchise quarterback. So there's all that too.
Right.
Juggling that contract. We see how hard it is. Look at Russell Wilson in Seattle. After you sign a quarterback to a big contract like that, we see that you don't have a lot of money to swing around on other parts of the team. So that guy has to really be the guy. Obviously, Russell Wilson is clearly that guy, but we're seeing that if you don't spend the money 100% wise, it's very hard to continue to win, especially with a salary cap like the NFL has had since the 90s. That's why it's so hard to see teams repeat as Super Bowl champions because they lose a lot of players. After you win a ring, most guys are like, fuck it, now I'm going to go get paid somewhere. And they jump ship to go get that big contract. And they're never going to shine brighter than right after the confetti falls. So,
yep.
I don't know. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I probably want to go to Minnesota, right? I mean, that seems like that makes sense. It's the most dynamic offense. Justin Jefferson is a hell of a player, and he's still under a rookie contract. So it's tough. I don't know how to call it.
You know who I'm surprised is not on his list or hasn't been openly on his list? The Steelers. How would you not want to go play for Tom Coughlin, right? Not Tom Coughlin.
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin. I mix up. I've been drinking this morning since 6 a.m.
Yeah, NyQuil is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I don't get it either. I'm thinking the same thing. And if you look into the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, Pittsburgh is 5-1. They're number 2 in odds, right? Obviously, Denver's 4-1, Pittsburgh 5-1. So, but yeah, I would love to play in Pittsburgh. You just drafted Najee Harris. They've got a plethora of wide receivers there. It seems like that's wide receiver like university or whatever, because every wide receiver that comes through there since Mike Wallace has been an amazing player, right? Remember, Mike Wallace was the number 1 wide receiver. Antonio Brown played second fiddle to Mike Wallace. Yep. Then they shipped Mike Wallace off, and now Antonio Brown's the guy again. And it's like, okay, so ship off Antonio Brown, and now I got Chase Claypool and Dion Johnson and all these guys. It's just like they just keep bringing these guys in. If I was Aaron Rodgers or I'm Deshaun Watson, I would love to go play there.
Yep.
But their defense is very suspect. Ever since they lost that defensive coordinator, the guy that was like a billion years old, he retired. I mean, because he was a billion years old. But after they lost him, it's like their defense hasn't been shit. And that's a very big thing, especially when, you look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers lost in Green Bay against San Francisco because San Francisco's defense was great. And B, his defense wasn't very good and his special teams wasn't very good. So you see, hey, if I don't have my best A game, I want to be able to lean back on the defense a little bit if I have to. In Pittsburgh, I don't think you can do that right now.
No.
So that might be the drawback, but I don't know. I would love to play in Pittsburgh if it was up to me.
this draft, and we'll get into that in a future episode. We've talked about this as a huge defensive and huge O-line draft coming up. So maybe this is where Pittsburgh attacks defensive players, right? Who knows? And I listed off some free agency ones already that would probably be a good fit in Pittsburgh if they have room for them. ESPN just recently came out with 8 quarterbacks that are probably or have a chance of getting traded, and I'm paraphrasing their title on it. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Jimmy G, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and Baker Mayfield. Of those that I listed, who do you think is an absolute going to get traded?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G, right? There's already, right after their loss, there was already talks about them trading him away. Yep. And Tampa Bay was the first place that was mentioned. I don't think he'll go to Tampa Bay. I'm probably going to be wrong on it, but I don't see him going to Tampa Bay. I don't see following in Brady's footsteps happening again, right?
No, I mean, I felt like his shoes were too big to fill in New England. He didn't do a good job of that, and they shipped him out.
Right.
And there's no way that he's going to want to go to Tampa because, he's going to get compared to TB12 immediately.
Absolutely.
I was looking at the rest of this stuff for Aaron Rodgers. They had Pittsburgh obviously was number 2, and then Tampa Bay is number 3, San Francisco is number 4, Minnesota is number 5. So those are all the places that are looking to take Aaron Rodgers. The number 1 place for Russell Wilson, though, is Pittsburgh. And so maybe that's why you're not seeing Deshaun look at those places, because maybe he's hearing through the grapevine that those places are kind of already after somebody else.
Right.
Knowing how Deshaun Watson is, as far as like kind of diva-ish a little bit, I think he wants to go somewhere where that's who they want, right? They have no interest in anybody else. They want Deshaun, and maybe that's why he's looking at Minnesota. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo is getting traded because they drafted Trey Lance. And then also there's some rumblings that Tom Brady could come out of retirement to play for San Francisco. So that's another issue. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's something that could happen. Who else did you name? Kirk Cousins will be traded, obviously, if they bring in Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson. That makes sense. It would depend on how the contract stuff would get sorted out. I think Aaron Rodgers gets traded or he retires. So there's that. So
not staying in Green Bay.
I don't think he's staying in Green Bay. No.
Even if they keep Devontae Adams.
Now, that's the only if they keep Devontae Adams and he's 100% happy, it's possible that Aaron Rodgers comes back for 2 or 3 more years in Green Bay. I don't see that happening because they're already over the salary cap. So I think Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers both will play for a new team next year. Will they play for the same team? I don't know. That would be amazing, but I don't think that's going to happen. Who else did you name?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield might get released. If they can't find a trading partner, he might get cut. Well, you know what? Maybe not this year. He's still under contract for this year. So maybe if they have another losing season, which they will, I think that they will trade him or cut him and draft a quarterback in the first round of next year's draft. That's what I
want to say. He's on his final year of his contract since he came in 2018. So this would be his 5th year. So
okay.
I think
they've got to pick up his option then, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, if they pick up his option, which makes sense, I guess it would be cheaper than the franchise tag.
But I could see him getting traded. I just don't know to where. In all reality, if he goes anywhere else, he's going to be a backup. He's not going to be a starter.
I think he is no longer considered a frontline starter. Did you mention Carson Wentz?
Yes.
Okay, so I think he will be traded also.
And I'm surprised by that, too. I'm very surprised that he's on this list with the consistency that he had this season. I know a lot of his time management and some of his decision-making, a lot of people were pissed off at. I know Michael Pittman Jr. had a couple of things to say here and there, and they've been retracted since. But I mean, for the most part, like I was very impressed with how Carson did in Indy, right?
Yeah.
I would think they want to go ahead and keep him on that with no quarterbacks coming in the draft right now. I don't know if you want to pass him around to another team that's willing to give you somebody that's somewhat of an upgrade, like Russell Wilson or something.
That's not a bad idea, really. Because
But
if you have a disgruntled Russell Wilson, he's worth nothing to you.
true. But I mean, you saw what they did last year to try to mend the wounds with him, and they were able to get him and his people to be quiet for the season with no more trade talks or anything like that. And I think Russell Wilson's one of those deals where at the end of every season, if he stays in Seattle, we're going to keep hearing, oh, he's going to get traded, just because this isn't the Super Bowl caliber team that we've seen in the past, right?
Right.
I think he deserves to be traded. I know Pete Carroll doesn't want to do a rebuilding, but Pete Carroll also hasn't announced that he's retiring, so that shows me that Russell's probably going to stay.
I don't think Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll are on the same page. I don't think
so either. I really don't. Unless but I want to say he also has the no trade clause in his contract.
Yeah, most big time quarterbacks, that's what they got.
In a perfect world, the way I see it, Aaron Rodgers stays where he's at. Russell Wilson goes to Denver. Deshaun Watson goes to Minnesota. Jimmy G goes to Carolina. Kirk Cousins goes to Carolina. Jimmy G goes to Washington.
Ooh, that would be great.
Carson Wentz goes to, fuck it, I'll throw it Seattle on there.
I'm okay with that too.
Contradicting myself a little bit there, I guess. Derek Carr stays put, and Baker Mayfield is unemployed.
I don't think Baker Mayfield will be unemployed, but he will definitely.
He can play in the USFL.
He could be a backup in Minnesota.
He can go play in the Arena League that Johnny Manziel played in. Dude, I completely forgot about that league this past season. I'm sure it didn't even play.
It did.
That was a 2020 deal, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a USFL coming up.
There is.
He could light that league up for sure.
That league is so weird. Like, I'm very eager to see how it goes. Like, I know it's a low budget league. Hence, all their games, all 40 games are being played in one stadium.
Yeah, I did read somewhere, though, that the Hall of Fame field, Canton, Ohio, Hall of Fame field, they're wanting to have a game there. Maybe they're going to have the kickoff game there. I don't know.
They've got all the major broadcasting. Well, I say all. They have Fox, NBC, and USA and Fox Sports all under contract to broadcast their games this season. So I'm looking forward to it. I think there's, 8 teams on there?
Yeah, 8 teams. Houston
going
Gamblers.
For the Houston Gamblers.
Good old school throwback there.
Right. You got Jeff Fisher coaching a team out there. You got Kevin Sumlin coaching a team out there. I think Kevin Sumlin has the Houston Gamblers too.
Wow, that's kind of cool. I didn't even know he was coaching in it. That's cool.
How big of a fall is that, right?
Yeah. From what, U of H?
U of H with Case Keenum.
And Kevin Cobb, right? Didn't it start with Kevin Cobb?
Kevin Cobb, that's right.
Yeah.
They did well there. He got promoted up to A&M as head coach. Had Johnny Manziel with him. Had some good, some bad there. Got let go, and then he went to go be a head coach for some smaller college, and then just disappeared for a little bit.
Crazy, right?
Oh,
but I mean, that's how it falls. Like, where's Tom Herman now?
Good question. I haven't kept up with that guy in a while.
I haven't either. I'm under the impression that he is a high school football coach in Texas, but I'll have to double check that. Let's see, Tom Herman. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, he's a high school football coach in California. So there's that. I mean, oh wait, hold on. Sorry, no, that's where he did coach in high school. I'm an idiot. He is currently an offensive analyst with the Chicago Bears.
Wow.
So he fell up?
An analyst.
That's weird. Whatever. Good for him, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, we do have some sad news to report. pitchers and catchers didn't make it to spring training.
Oh, I know. I'm so
I think they missed the
upset.
bus.
Yeah, well, so I think they were all packed up and, standing outside of Home Depot ready for a job, and the bus just never showed up.
For those of y'all who don't know what we're talking about, MLB is still under lockout right now. They've been on lockout since December 3rd, I believe it was. Players and owners can't come to an agreement on shit. Oh, they did agree on all around DH for NL and AL,
Yeah, and I
which
don't
is
know how I
about
feel
fucking
about that.
time.
You like it?
I absolutely do. I could give a fuck less about some string bean pitcher coming up there and fucking rolling it to third or striking out. Like,
Now, I'm with you on that. Like, it sucks watching the pitchers bat and all that, whatever. But, like, now you've created a roster spot on every team in Major League Baseball for a guy to make $30 million to just hit the ball. I'm not a fan. Plus that means that now, like, Yordan Alvarez could be like a trade target for everybody now.
so would you rather want 30 million for a bat that can go yard or get you extra points, or do you want 30 million on a pitcher that's probably going to fall off after year 3?
Well, I mean, now that guys that are strictly DHs can make the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
maybe I'm leaning towards DH. But my thing is that I grew up watching NL baseball. I grew up watching Sugar Shane Reynolds go up there and try to get base hits. I grew up with Mike Hampton hitting home runs. So, like, I like the idea of the pitcher hitting. I think it's a good thing for baseball. I think that it changes the strategy for how a manager manages his bullpen. Now, all the managers can just do the same crap that they always do. They can go into analytics even more. They can do all kinds of matchups and lefty on righty and all this kind of crap. Like, I don't like it. I think it takes away from baseball.
But look at the stress that managers have been under the most recent years with all the changing of rules towards substituting pitchers, right? Like if you had one come in, they had to do a minimum of what, 3 innings, or what was the rule on it?
3 batters.
Huh?
Minimum of 3 batters.
Right. And then wasn't there one rule where once you substitute, they have to be in for a certain amount of time, though?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had to face 3 batters.
Okay. So, I mean, instead of having them come in and pinch hit just because the pitcher's tired or whatever, and then they got to take the mound and they give up fucking 3 runs, then you can let them go. Like, I don't know. But you used to be able to just put a pinch hitter in for the pitcher instead, right? That wasn't in the pitching spot.
Yeah. So you'd have a guy warming up in the bullpen. Guy gets on in front of the pitcher in the 7th inning, so you'd pull him, put in a pinch hitter. Guy in the bullpen's warming up. That guy hits. Now that pitcher, that player gets pulled. That pitcher goes into that batter spot.
I'm a fan for it. I've told you many times I want to see more of a bomb game than a fucking pitching game.
Right. I was going to say that's the difference. The question is, do you like baseball that's 10-11, or do you like baseball that's 0-1 or 1-2?
I want a nail biter. I don't want to sit there for fucking 3 hours and watch it go 0-1 in the 9th. Like,
but I do. I love that.
Whenever you see the fire on both sides of the team, and Astros are up by 6. Royals just tied it to 6. Astros are up by 2 now. The Royals are back up by 3. Like, that back and forth kind of deal gets me involved into a game. It gets my adrenaline pumping. It makes it more exciting. But whenever you see, all right, here we are in the bottom of the 4th, and it's 0-0 with 0 hits, and like,
I love that. I love one of my favorite games is knowing that Greg Maddux had a complete game with 79 pitches. That's insane. I love that stuff.
But what were the bats doing for Atlanta?
Well, I think they ended up losing the game 2-1.
Oh,
not really. Well, I don't really know. I don't know what the final score was, but like one of my favorite games here recently, Dallas Keuchel pitched for the Astros, and I don't remember even who they played, but they ended up winning 1-0, and it was a sacrifice fly in the 8th inning. I loved it. It was great. because to get that guy over, somebody had to steal second, and then they had to bunt to first, and the guy went to third, and then it was a sacrifice fly to center field, scored a run. That was it. It was incredible. Like watching the pitchers locate left to right, high and low, and get people to chase and people to miss. Like I love that.
I need to see some defense. I need to see some bombs. I need to hear some cracks of bats.
Well, so and then the question is, so what is your favorite play in a baseball game?
I honestly have never thought of that.
Oh,
I've never so
just baseball is like where I live. That's my
right. You're like a lot more baseball than I am. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'll watch it. I'll keep up with it. I don't start cheering for them just because they're in the playoffs, and I don't stop watching because they miss the playoffs. I'll just put it like that. But as far as the details of it, that's your wheelhouse. So what you just listed as your favorite play?
No, my favorite play is the outfield assist.
Okay.
I love watching guys try to tag and score on an outfielder, and they throw him out at third base. I love that play.
That is pretty awesome.
Or even like guys on first, ball hits a right field as a base hit. Right fielder comes up and guns it to third and gets him out. I love that play.
Any double play where it's flipped from second to first, like Altuve does it constantly. We've seen plenty of times. So where he'll make a spectacular catch of all 4 or 5 of himself, and then do this crazy flip to second, and they're able to bust out the double.
Yeah, Omar Vizquel was somebody that I think of when I think of a double play. Like he would do crazy flips with his glove and all kinds of stuff. Like those guys are magicians. But in your home run game, you don't really see that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm not saying always need a home run, but I want to see more of a hit game than a pitching game, right? I want to see shooting one in the gap right there to go ahead and get the run at second. I want to see a grand slam from the least expected person, right? Like, I don't know. The atmosphere of after your home team hits a home run or a team that you're rooting for hits a home run beats it's okay. I don't want to say it beats it big time, but getting a final out through a strikeout's pretty fucking exciting too.
Oh yeah, especially closer comes up and it's like a
Yes.
one-run game. There's a runner on, and it's the best hitter on their team.
Yeah.
So it's your number one versus their number one. God, that's pretty intense right there. I like that.
Also, it's also just as heartbreaking too. And one of the ones you and I have talked about many times is, what was it, 05, Brad Lidge and Albert Pujols?
Yeah, the only reason why that ball hit the ground is because it hit a fucking window out there in left field. Jeez.
Bro.
What's weird is that didn't even end the game, but you felt like it did. It sucked all the air out of the stadium.
Oh, absolutely. But Manfred, dickhead, dick fuck, whatever the fuck you want to be called, get this shit organized, get baseball back. We need it because look at it. If baseball gets locked out this season, we're going to be talking NASCAR on here.
Well, and then on top of that, think about how hard it was back in the day. Like when you read all the stories from, the 94 lockout and the end of the season, and there wasn't even a World Series and all that. Nobody watched baseball in 95. Nobody watched baseball in 96, but they came back to watch the Bash brothers, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, hit home runs.
Yep.
And so you can say what you want about the steroid era, but go fuck yourself. The steroid era brought baseball back to the forefront. And
So are you saying steroids are coming back in baseball?
they're not going to test for it anymore. Did you hear about that?
I did not.
Yeah, they're not going to test for some certain shit. They're not going to test for anymore. But Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens will no longer be in your Hall of Fame. And Kurt Schilling. How fucking stupid is that?
Well, all I know is every player needs to go hit up every guy who's competed in the Mr. Olympia contest and get their connection because
100%.
we're about
now that it's all legal. I want balls hit to the fucking moon.
So Mike Trout's going to come back, gain 25 pounds of muscle. He has every part of his body rebuilt, and he's going to go for 97 home runs.
Well, so there's a rumor that he's going to be converted to a DH now.
Which makes sense, right? That's probably the smartest thing that they can do for him with his injury history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's right, but we'll see how that does for him. Worst case scenario, he's going to play on a wet field or something and swing, and the mud tears his ACL for the 15th millionth time.
Yeah, it could happen like that.
No.
But I think I'm still mad Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens aren't in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you, man. Trust me. I was all over Twitter and Facebook whenever they didn't make the cut. I think
So
Andy Pettit
stupid.
is still eligible for the Hall of Fame, and if he gets in after, if Alex Rodriguez gets into the Hall of Fame, I have no more respect for MLB Hall for the writers that put these people in. I have no respect for them.
I think after the aftermath of the Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens bullshit, I think there needs to be players that vote for the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I think make it like the Heisman votes and let let all the Hall of Fame players that are in vote on it. Because you look at what happened in 2021, nobody got elected into the Hall of Fame. How do you go for 0 being elected into the Hall of Fame, and then in 2022 you don't let the leading home run hitter or a 5-time Cy Young winner into the fucking Hall of Like, what else do they need to fucking do?
Dude,
the stats were there. No proof was present. And yet you're just because you have a sour taste of fucking nut in your mouth, you say no? Get over yourself.
Basically, that's what it boils down to. They are still butthurt because of something he said in an interview 500 years ago.
But
or they're trying to claim that there are no people with steroids in the Hall of Fame, which is fucking stupid.
I guarantee you, those 2 players alone boosted those MLB writers' viewership, more people reading their articles. I guarantee you, somebody even probably got a fucking award mentioning one of them 2 and the success that those players did, and yet you're going to vote them out even though they boosted your career in some way.
Yep. And it's stupid. I don't get it. I mean, so Tony Gwynn to me is the best left-handed hitter of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can make an argument for Ted Williams, and that's fine. I'll listen to the argument, and it makes sense. But I didn't watch Ted Williams play, so there's not really much I can say. But Barry Bonds is right at the top of that list.
Yep.
And how that guy doesn't make the Hall of Fame, I'll never understand. And Roger Clemens was one of the most dominant pitchers for our time to watch baseball.
Yep.
I swear to God, if Pedro Martinez didn't make the Hall of Fame, I would fucking lose it. Like I'm that mad about it. Like it's like if Randy Johnson wasn't in the Hall of Fame, or if Greg Maddux wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Like that's the caliber of these players.
Yep.
And they're not in the Hall of Fame. It's so fucking stupid. And it's all because some nerd with a journalism degree got mad because he didn't get the autograph or whatever.
They need to figure this out quick because a lot of baseball fans are highly pissed off.
Yep.
Oh,
me as being one of them.
Well, before we end the show, you got any picks for tonight? Hockey, NBA?
So I'm typing in scores as we're talking, and I'm just going down the list at RR Sports Betting, and let's see. I'm looking at Arizona versus Oregon State, or it's Oregon State at Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking take Arizona. Where'd it go? Take Arizona and the point, or like give the points up. Take Arizona.
Yeah, I saw this morning the lines were around minus 24 for Arizona. It's still that?
Yeah, right now it's minus 24. Go ahead and lay the points, and don't even worry about it. That's where I'm at. You could also take University of Alabama Birmingham versus Rice and lay the points there too.
What's the spread on that one?
It's UAB minus 14.
Okay.
That's that. I think those are some pretty safe picks there. I'll look through the rest of them and I'll put out something on Facebook later today, and we'll have that. Maybe I'll put it on Instagram.
I've got a lock for y'all who are listening, and this hopefully will get out in time so you can get in on the action as well. But I'm taking Washington Capitals versus the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm taking Capitals puck line at -1.5. Whenever I placed it, it was at +150. So I think that's a shoe-in right there. NBA wise, we got Houston and LA facing off against the Clippers, with the Clippers at -11. The Rockets with no rest are 0-8 on the road, just in general, against the spread. So that right there seems like a no-brainer for me. Go ahead and take the Clippers at -11.
Yeah, plus the Rockets, they're on a 6 or 8 game losing streak, so they're going to continue that.
We got Miami and Charlotte facing off. Miami's favored at 4.5. Charlotte is hit or miss against the spread on that one. That one's a toughie for me, but if you're going to force me to, I'm going to go ahead and take Miami. Washington and Brooklyn. Brooklyn has one of the worst numbers against.
I think they are the worst against the spread.
And they bit me the other day going with that, but they're going against Washington. Washington has little flickers of flame here and there. Washington's underdogs at 4.5. I'd go ahead and snatch that one right there. Dallas and New Orleans. Dallas is traveling. They're favored at -3. I'd go ahead and take that one. And you got Philadelphia going to Milwaukee. I don't think Harden is suiting up yet in Philly. The line's at -6.5 in favor of Milwaukee. If Giannis is playing, I haven't looked at the lineups yet for today, but I'd go ahead and take Milwaukee at -6.5. If you have some bets, if you want to ride or fade with us, let us know. We're always posting stuff on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with information to help you decide. If you're liking it, let us know. If it's not, don't say anything. Give us your own feedback. Let us know what you think about whatever the information we're putting out, or even the picks on it, right? This coming season, since it is a new season, Zach and I, probably on the next episode or later on, we are going to be doing wheel picks of different sports. So, for instance, we'll say NFL, we're going to go ahead and do a divisional wheel, and we'll spin the wheel. If Zach gets the NFC East for the season, Zach will give all information and betting picks on the NFC East. Now, does that mean he's going to do something off screen? Probably, because he's a degenerate. But information-wise, that'll be coming your way. We'll do the same for college basketball. Try to do it for college football if we can. NHL, NBA, anything that we can get a sports going on, we'll do that. I'm thinking, and Zach, just spitballing here, if the USFL comes up on the books, which I'm hoping it will, we pick a team and go that route, and since there's only 8 teams. Or do you just want to break down all of it together?
I don't know. We'd probably stick with one team, but
okay.
Let's not go with the Houston team, because I think that our listeners might be saturated with that.
Well, it's the wheel of destiny. The wheel decides. And so we will keep track of our picks on there, so you can see how we're doing on that. And like I said, you can either ride with us or fade with us, but the only place you can do it at is rrsportsbetting.com. It's such a great deal. If you want more information, get with Zach or I, or even message them on Facebook. They respond back really quick. Good customer service. Good, friendly guys over there. So the next time you're getting an oil change and you took it wrong and started dropping your pants at the mechanic shop, as you're buckling back up, let them know about your favorite podcast. Do you want to be Athletes Talk Sports?
Yeah, the next time you're in the waiting room at the local sperm bank, waiting for your turn to, whip it out, strike up the conversation with the guy next to him. I mean, he's trying to focus and concentrate. It's a perfect time to mention to Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. It's your favorite podcast. Why wouldn't he like it?
Refer him over to the episode where we talked about the hottest cartoon women. That'll help out big time.
You're helping him, right?
See,
that's what it's about. It's about brotherhood.
Guys, we appreciate y'all joining us for this episode. We'll see y'all on the next one. This has been 2 Wannabe Athletes Talk Sports. I'm Med.
I'm Zach.
We'll see you next time, assholes.
Always the GOAT.